Welcome to Air Academy Associates series on using SPC Excel. Today's short video clip concerns itself with the dot plot along with summary statistics that you can choose to print out or to see on the screen. We'll introduce the topic of dot plot, show you what it's about, and then we'll jump into the software. Another way to display the spread in a data set is with a dot plot. A dot plot is also a very good tool to compare various data sets to look at the spread, because a dot plot will print out or plot each data point in your data set. A histogram does not do that, and neither does a box plot, but a dot plot plots every data point. In SPC Excel, this is very easy to use because it's one of the 6 major options in the analysis diagrams main menu item of SPC Excel. So if we have our data, and suppose we've highlighted the data, these are 25 data points on wait times to get an appointment with a neurology clinic, and we select the analysis diagrams, we select the summary stats. The next menu or user interface you will get is to show where the data is. If you've already highlighted the data, you can click on next and go to the next user interface, which asks you what kind of report you would like to see. Would you like to see both the dot plot with the summary stats, which is the option checked here on this little user interface screen? You could also check dot plot and get only the dot plot. You could also check summary stats, which means you're getting only the summary stats. We want both today, so we have that clicked, and if you press OK, out comes your dot plot, which is on the right. All of the different data points in your data set are plotted. Now, we only have one data set here. Where the dot plot becomes very useful is when you have multiple data sets, kind of like in a box plot, where we want to compare various data sets. But we're just showing you here on this slide what a dot plot for one variable looks like. And you get a host of summary statistics over here. You may not want all of this, and I'm going to show you when we get in the software how we can cut that down. Maybe you're only interested in the mean, the max value, the min value, the range, and the standard deviation of the sample. There may be too much here on this summary statistics output that could interfere and make it more complex than you would really like it to be. So I'm going to show you how to cut that back if you don't want all of the information. The confidence intervals here are for the true but unknown mean of the population. Remember, we have a sample size of 25, and if we want to estimate what the population mean is from which this sample was obtained, these confidence intervals are one of the ways to do that. So let's go to the software right now. And we have now brought up a data set on 5 different facilities where the processing times were recorded for 15 different items. So these processing times are given in minutes, but the purpose of this is to show you how to get a dot plot. So we're going to highlight our data. I'm in the habit of doing that. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can choose the tool first. We go to Sigma Zone, SPC Excel, click on Analysis Diagrams, and the Summary Stats dot plot is one of the 6 options that you have in the Analysis Diagrams main menu item. So we click on that, and it's going to ask us, is this the data that we want? Yes, it is. We've already highlighted it. If you have not specified the range of data, here is where you do it. You click on this, then highlight the data. In either case, we click on Next. And now here's a critical user interface again, the same kind of interface that you get with selecting a box plot, for example. You have to specify the data, that is the orientation. Our data sets are in columns. Now these are 5 different data sets, so we should see 5 different dot plots overlaid on each other when we click on Next. And before we get to there, it asks you one more question. Would you like to see both the dot plot and the summary stats, or would you prefer to see just the dot plot alone or the summary stats alone? Typically, one would probably want both, but that depends on your application and what you're searching for. So we click on OK, And here we have the 5 different dot plots stacked on one on top of each other. The summary stats is in a separate worksheet called Summary Stats at the bottom of your page. So these are the 5 different facilities. Facility 1 is on the bottom. 2 is this triangular, green triangular. 3 is this facility, 4 and 5. Now, it doesn't become difficult to pinpoint which of those facilities is behaving or processing differently. And it is this guy, and that's process or facility number 3. So you're seeing all of the different data points that you get in the data set. Now, the sample size was 15, and we may not see 15 data points. For example, in facility 3, there's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what that means? 3 of the data points were repeated. So you're going to get the different data points, but some of the points may be duplicates in the data set. So the point being is the dot plot shows you the different data points in the data set. And the summary stats, if you look at that, let me blow this up a little bigger so we can see that better. The 5 different facilities, and you have the summary stats for each of the facilities. For example, if you look at the mean, facility 1 had a 38, facility 2 had a 36, facility 3 had a 52, facility 4 had a 38, and facility 5 about a 37. So you can look at all of these, and this might be, like I said, a little bit too much for you to handle, or for you to, if you are consulting for somebody, showing somebody in your organization, that is, what your summary statistics are. This may be too much to show them. So how you can change this is you come up to Sigma Zone and you go to Options. Options is something you want to keep in mind because you can change the default settings in a number of areas. Control charts, histograms, Pareto, scatter options. Here's the summary stats. Let's look at that one. And notice that I have almost all of those checked. This is the default. But if you don't want to see the mode, for example, uncheck that. If you want the max and the min, we typically want that, the range. Now, you have standard deviation and variance for population and sample. Typically, we almost always deal with sample data. I would not, complicate the issue. I might get rid of the population standard deviation because what we're dealing with is a sample. If you don't want the confidence intervals, you can uncheck those. And if you don't want the median is something that is good. That's your middle data point. It is not something that you always need. You always definitely need the mean and the standard deviation. But let's say OK on this. Now, it didn't change it on this particular sheet. But from here on out, it will change it. So let's go back to our data. Let's go back and get the dot plot and the summary stats again. We'll just click through because we've highlighted the data. Our data is in columns, and we say Next. In this case, the dot plot will be the same as it was before, but let's get them both anyway. So we click, and here's your dot plot, second time around, and here's your new summary stats. It's an abbreviated list of summary statistics that we have, asked for. We've asked for the mean, the median, the max, the min, the range, the standard deviation of the sample, and the variance. So you still get the same values, but it's a more compact set of summary statistics. And again, the way you can control that is come to Sigma Zone and under these options. This is a very, very powerful little tool in the options because you can change your default settings if you care to. So that is what we're talking about here. Now you say, here's the dot plot again. Clearly, facility 3 is different. But what is the difference between a dot plot and a box plot? Well, let's find out. Let's go back and let's, in this case, instead of the dot plot, let's get the box plot. The box plot has the same menu items or user interface questions that this dot plot has. And here's the box plot. And you can see that facility 3, once again, is our different entity out of the 5 facilities that we're looking at. And of course, this is what we saw on the dot plot as well. This shows the individual data points, where the box plot shows you, yes, you get the highest value, the max value, and the min value. You get the median right in there, and you get what is called the interquartile range. And so you've got more of a clustering of the data to see, to get a better feel for the variation. But the variation you can see in the dot plot as well. The variation, pretty much, this guy has a lot of variation, as the summary, as the box plot shows too. But you know, you get a feel for both the variation and the center of the distribution, both in a box plot and a dot plot. So that concludes our treatment of the topic of a dot plot along with summary stats. It shows you how you can change the list of summary stats that you want to view. And it's a very simple tool. We compared and contrasted it to the box plot. And this is a very simple tool to use to compare data sets. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.